Good morning, students. Today, in the lecture series of operating system, we will discuss Banker's algorithm. The resource allocation graph algorithm is not applicable to a resource allocation system with multiple instances of each resource type. So the deadlock avoidance algorithm that we have discussed. So it is less efficient. The resource allocation graph is key. So that is why we used the Banker's algorithm. So the Banker's algorithm gets its name because it is a method that bankers could use to assure that when they lend out resources, they will still be able to satisfy all their clients. When a process is start up, it must state in advance the maximum allocation of resources it may request up to the amount available on the system. Now, so the Banker's algorithm relies on several key data structures where n is the number of processes. Okay, so n is the number of processes and m is the number of resources categories. M is the resource categories and n is the number of processes. Available M mean to say indicates how many resources are currently available of each type. Okay, maximum of NM indicates the maximum demand of each process of each resource. So that is max NM, mean to say maximum demand of each process of each resource. Allocation NM indicates the number of each resource category allocated to each process. Need NM indicates the remaining resources needed of each type for each process. Here you will have to note one point that need Ij minus maximum Ij equals to allocation of Ij for all Ij. Okay, so need Ij equals to, you can say, need Ij equals to maximum of Ij minus allocation of Ij. Mean to say, whatever the maximum of resources are there, if we will subtract the allocated resource, then the need can be identified. Okay. So here, we will have to see this thing that in the this Banker's algorithm, the 4 point we will have to remember. One is the available resources, available. What is the maximum resources they have? Allocation. How many resources have been allocated, and what is the need? So these data structures we will use in this algorithm. And now one is the safety algorithm. In order to apply the Banker's algorithm, we first need an algorithm for determining whether or not a particular state is safe. So we have already discussed that when a state will be safe. So let's now see. Let work and finish be vectors of length m and n respectively. So initially, uh, work equals to available and finish is equals to, we will make it false for I equals to 1 2 3 4 n. We will have to find I such that both finish I equals to false and need should be less than equals to work. So here work and finish be vectors of length m and n respectively. Work is a working copy of the available resources which will be modified during the analysis. Finish is a vector of Boolean indicating whether a particular process can finish or has finished so far in the analysis. Initialize work to available and finish to false for all elements. So find an I such that both A finished I is equals to false and B, that is the need I less than equals to work. This process has not finished but could with the given available working set, if no such I exists, go to step 4. So set work equals to work plus allocation I and set finish I equals to true. This corresponds to process I finishing up and releasing its resources back into the work pool, then loop back to the step 2. So if finish I equals to true for all I, then the state is a safe state because a safe sequence has been found. So these are the the 4 steps. So let's once again I will describe these 4 steps. First of all, we will allocate initialize work equals to available, finish I equals to false. In the second steps, we will find I such that finish I equals to false and need is less than equals to work. In the third step, we will set work equals to work plus allocation, finish I equals to true, and then we will go to step 2. In the fourth step, if finish I equals to true for all I, then the system is in a safe state. So this algorithm may require an order of m into n square operation to decide whether a state is safe or not. Now the resource request algorithm, that is actually the banker's algorithm. So let's see that. Note that we have a tool for determining if a particular state is safe or not. We are now ready to look at the banker's algorithm itself. This algorithm determines if a new request is safe and grants it only if it is safe to do so. If the request is safe, then only we will grant that request. Then we will only fulfill that request of our process. So when a request is made that does not exceed currently available resources, pretend it has been granted and then see if the resulting state is a safe one or not. If so, grant the request, and if not, deny the request. Okay, so let's see, the procedure. The procedure is if the request is less than equals to need, then we will have to go to step 2. Otherwise, raise an error. Or you can say, let request NM indicates the number of resources of each type currently requested by processes. If request I greater than need I, so for any process I, raise an error condition. If the request I greater than need I, then raise an error condition. If a request I is less than need I, then we can proceed. So in the second step, if the request is greater than available for any process, whatever the available resources are there, if we are requesting more than the available resources, in that case, process must wait for resources to become available. Otherwise, the process can continue to step 3. Now, this is the this is the third step, which is very important. Check to see if the request can be granted safely by pretending it has been granted and then seeing if the resulting state is safe. If so, grant the request, and if not, then the process must wait until its request can be granted safely. The procedure for granting a request or pretending to for testing process is, so that is these 3 lines is very important, that available equals to, suppose you are requesting some 2 resources for a process, a particular process is requesting for some resources. Let's say it is requesting for 2 resources, and the 4th are available. So in that case, available equals to available minus request. So that will be 4 minus 2. That means to say there will be 2 available resources available. Allocation equals to allocation plus request. Let's say six resources have been allocated till now, and now the process is requesting two more. So now allocation will be 6 plus 2, that is 8. Need equals to need minus request. The third one is need. So need equals to need minus request. So if the resulting mean to say resource allocation state is safe, the transaction is completed and the process is allocated its resources. However, if the new state is unsafe, then the process must wait for request and the old resource allocation state is recorded. So this, we will also illustrate an example. So this is a example. In this example, I just described. Suppose consider a system with the 5 process P0, P1, P2, P3, and P4, and there are 3 resource types. There are 3 resource types. Let's say resource type A, B, C. Resource type A has 10 instances. Resource type A has 10 instances. Resource type B has 5 instances, and the resource type C has 7 instances. Okay. Suppose that at time t0, the the following snapshot have been taken, which is given here in p0 abc equals to 0 1 0, p1 equals to allocation. Mean to say for p0 process, one resource of b has been allocated 0. This is the case. So this is the allocation policy. Allocation is given for process p0, p1, p2, p3, and p4. And for this processes, maximum allocation is also given, that 7 5 3 3 2 2. Okay, 9 0 2 2 2 2, like this, and available are also there 3 3 2. Okay, and to contain the maximum matrix need is defined, that is max minus allocation. How we how we will calculate this need? Need will be calculated by subtracting max minus allocation. So if we will subtract from maximum minus available, mean to say for this process P0, um, this 7 is maximum need, and allocated have been 0. So 7 minus 0 equals to 7. 5 minus 1 equals to 4. 3 minus 0 equals to 3. So maximum minus allocation equals to need. So that we can calculate need is like this way. For process PV1, maximum is 3 2 2. So for A is 3 and here allocation is 2. So 3 minus 2 equals to 1. 2 minus 0 equals to 2. 2 minus 0 equals to 2. For process P2, 9 minus 3 equals to 6. 0 minus 0 equals to 0. 2 minus 2 equals to 0. For process P3, 2 minus 2 equals to 0. 2 minus 1 equals to 1. 2 minus 1 equals to 1. And the process P4, 4 minus 0 equals to 4. 3 minus 0, 3. And 3 minus 2 equals to 1. So that is why we will calculate this need. Okay. So when we will calculate this need, let's say, uh, suppose now we consider what happens if a process P1 request one instance of A and 2 instances of C and 0 instances of B. So the request will be 1 0 2. So now the allocation, we have seen allocation is 0 1 0, need is 7 4 3 0 2, and the need which we have calculated in the earlier one. And available, what will be the available resources? Available resources will be actually earlier available were 3 3 2. So in this 3 3 2, we will subtract 1 0 2. So 3 minus 1 equals to 2, and this 3 minus 0 equals to 3, and 3 minus this 2 2 minus 2 equals to 0. So now this is will be the next scenario. Okay. Now the available will be 230, need will be here, and allocation will be also here. Now what we will have to do, we will check to decide whether this request can be immediately granted. We first check the request is less than equals to available. So request is 102 and available is, available in the, as we have seen, available is 332. So which is true. So we then pretend that this request has been fulfilled and we arrive at the following new state, that is this. Okay. So when we will arrive this state, we must determine whether this new system state is safe or not. So we will have to check the safe sequence. So to do so, we execute our safety algorithm and find that the sequence P1, P3, P4, P0, P2, this sequence satisfy our safety requirement. Hence, we can immediately grant the request of process P1. So if deadlocks are not, just a second. Okay, so in this way, you can determine the safe sequence. You should be able to see, however, that when the system is in a safe state, a request for 330 by P4 cannot be granted since the resources are not available. So we can check different number of requests, and based on the availability we can check. A request of P0 of 020 cannot be granted even though the resources are available, since the resulting state is an unsafe state. See, the resources are available but the state is an unsafe state. In that case also you cannot grant the resources. Okay. Now the deadlock detection. So if deadlocks are not avoided, then another approach is to detect when they have occurred and recover somehow. In addition to the performance hit of the constantly checking of our deadlock, a policy algorithm must be in place for recovering from deadlocks, and there is a potential for lost work when processes must be aborted or have their resources preempted. So a single instance of each resource type, if each resource category has a single instance, then we can use a variation of the resource allocation graph known as a wait for graph. A wait for graph can be constructed from a resource allocation graph by eliminating the resource and collapsing the associated edges. Okay, as we will see in the figure, this is the single instance of each resources. Okay, so in the first figure, resource allocation graph, and the corresponding, the next one is the corresponding wait for graph. So recovery from deadlock, there are three basic approaches to recovery from deadlock. One is the inform the system operator and allow him her to take manual intervention, terminate one or more processes involved in the deadlock, preempt resources, process termination, two basic approaches, both of which recover resources allocated to terminated processes. Terminate all processes involved in the deadlock. This definitely solves the deadlock, but at the expense of terminating more processes than would be absolutely necessary. Terminate processes one by one until the deadlock is broken. This is more conservative but requires doing deadlock detection after each step. In the later case, there are many factors that can go into deciding which process to terminate. They are process priorities, how long the process has been running, how many and what type of resources is the process holding, are they easy to preempt the resource, how many more resources does the process need to complete, how many processes will need to be terminated, whether the process is interactive or batch, whether or not the process has made non-restorable changes. Now the resource preemption, when preempting resources to relive deadlock, there are three important issues to be addressed. Selecting a victim, deciding which resources to preempt from which process, rollback, that is ideally one would like to roll back a preempted resource to a safe state, prior to the point at which that resource was originally allocated to the process. Unfortunately, it can be difficult or impossible to determine what such a safe state is, and so the only safe rollback is to roll back all the way back to the beginning. Now the resource preemption is we also having starvation. So how do you guarantee that a process wouldn't starve because its resources are constantly being preempted? So if the resources are constantly being preempted, it may be there may be the case of the starvation. The starvation means that the process will have to wait. The process will be preempted, and it could be the case of the starvation. Okay, so these are some the references, and thank you students for patience listening. And the next topic will be the device management. Okay, so thank you. Here I